Am I the asshole for throwing away my autistic roommate's food after he repeatedly asked me not to? I, 25F. Live with my roommate, Jeff, 25M, in a 2-bedroom apartment. We share a kitchen and living room. Jeff is autistic and has told me that he doesn't like his stuff touched or moved from its original spot. Which is fine, I don't ever touch his stuff or move it anyways. The problem starts in the kitchen. I cook a lot and therefore use my share of the fridge space. Jeff, on the other hand, eats out more often, but still likes to keep his side of the fridge stocked. Which wouldn't be a problem, except he buys easily perishable foods, grapes, salad mix, eggs, etc. He will leave his food in there until it's literally liquefied. The first time I found his food like that I tossed it immediately, after which he freaked out and reminded me, again, to never touch his stuff. Since then I've had to practically beg him to throw out his food. Whenever I text him about his moldy food, he'll just repeat, "Don't touch, move my stuff," even if I send a picture of fruit literally caked in mold. I left for a trip 2 months ago and got back yesterday. I guess early on in my trip, Jeff bought some raw chicken and left it in the fridge. I opened the fridge yesterday morning to make breakfast and it was rancid. All the food on the lower shelves was drenched in liquefied chicken. There were mold spots growing on the plastic and it smelled like death. I lost it. I took every single biohazard out of that fridge and immediately tossed it in the dumpster. I used every chemical I had to completely sterilize the fridge. The whole process took hours. As I was cleaning, Jeff came home and immediately started yelling about me touching his food. I yelled back and told him he's an idiot for leaving all that food to go rotten. He told me he's autistic and needs things in certain places, and I told him I need a fridge that doesn't have a Pandora's box full of diseases. He stormed off into his room and we haven't spoken since. So Reddit, am I the asshole for throwing out my roommate's food? Edit. First, thank you guys for all your responses. I've read almost all of them and will set up a meeting with Jeff to discuss a cleaning schedule while I'm still living here. I'll also buy myself a mini fridge. I also just wanted to say, please don't insult Jeff's autism. I also didn't mean for this post to evoke negative stereotypes about autism or neurodivergency. I really appreciate all your feedback and I've better learned how to communicate with Jeff. Not the asshole. Autism isn't an excuse for this shit. Kick him out. If you can't, move out. Not the asshole. He doesn't like his stuff touched or moved from its original spot. Who does? And while that may be a perfectly valid request, your interest in abiding by it is obvious going to be contingent upon your roommate being able to live like a functioning human being. I feel like your roommate is falling quite a bit short of his end of that. He told me he's autistic and needs things in certain places. No, he doesn't. He prefers them. And he's lost the right for you to give 2 fucks about his preferences. Not the asshole. Autism's not an excuse for creating rot and health hazards in communal areas. Time to get a mini fridge and keep the rotting food contained to his room if he wants it so bad. Not the asshole. People can have autism, but that doesn't justify him choosing to be lazy. You left for 2 months, and he somehow didn't think that fridge was a problem during that time. Not the asshole. I'm autistic and that's just. How do you let the fridge get so bad? Autism does not justify creating biohazards. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. The kitchen is a shared space, as is the refrigerator, and he routinely makes it unsafe for you to share it. You need to have a frank discussion with him about how this is more than you touching his stuff. You can tell him that you respect that he is autistic and needs to have his stuff in a certain place, but he needs to respect that you are a biological human who needs to have a healthy and safe living environment with sanitary conditions for food preparation. Not the asshole. Accommodation for his condition stops when it violates your health and happiness. You have a right to a clean shared space. Am I the asshole for refusing to comply to my roommate's request? Repost since the last one got removed. So my roommate, 22M, and I, 22M, have very different sleep schedules. He likes to go to bed quite early, 9 p.m., and also wakes up very early. I, on the other hand, usually go to sleep later and also wake up much later. Usually when I'm awake after he has gone to sleep, I try to be as quiet as possible. I don't hang around in our shared living room, kitchen, and I take showers earlier than I normally would. However, sometimes I stay out late with my friends, not crazy late, more like 11 p.m. to 12 a.m., and me coming home and opening the door wakes him up. I don't think I'm slamming it or anything, but I also obviously can't open it completely silently. So my roommate asked me if I could start coming home before he goes to sleep and I said no. My friend has also offered that I could come and sleep on his couch if I'm staying out late, but I feel like I should be allowed to go to my own home and not bother my friend. I would prefer that my roommate and I got along and he wouldn't view me as the noisy roommate, but I also feel like he is being unreasonable. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You pay rent, you can come and go as you please. You're not throwing parties or anything. You can request he keeps his door closed, or if he wants, he can wear earplugs. If he wants total silence, he should live alone. Not the asshole. If he is that light of a sleeper, he needs to consider his options: white noise, earplugs, etc., or live alone. Honestly, tears of joy. Info. Have you tried asking him to stay in his room until you wake up in the morning? Unfortunately, people who are early to bed and early to rise often assume a weird sense of moral superiority over people who are awake for exactly the same length of time but later in the day. Such a request might help him realize what an ass he is being. Not the asshole. Try not to make too much noise when you get in is reasonable. Be back home by 9 p.m. is not. Not the asshole. Expecting you to be home before 9 is incredibly unreasonable. As long as you do your best to be quiet and aren't stumbling around drunk slamming things, this is his problem to deal with. He needs to try earplugs, a white noise machine, etc. Not the asshole. Roommate needs earplugs or a sound machine. Telling you to be home before 9 p.m. is like having a parent with a curfew, forget that. Not the asshole. You have a roommate, not a landlord, parent. You pay rent just like he does, so you get to come home when you are ready to come home. As long as you are trying not to be super loud, you are fine. Not the asshole. It's fine to make reasonable accommodations, like you reduce your noise. But this guy needs to try and find a compromise like earplugs or a white noise machine. Am I the asshole for not telling my new girlfriend about my missing organs? Using a throwaway because too many of my friends know my main. I've been dating this girl for a few weeks and the topic of children came up a few times. She asked if I wanted any and I told her I'd love to adopt some but wouldn't be able to have any of my own. She'd laugh it off and steer the conversation in a different direction. I suppose she just assumed I didn't want any biological kids, which couldn't be further from the truth. I lost a few parts of my body about 5 years ago when I got sick: testicles, gallbladder, prostate, and a part of my bowel. She knows I got sick, she knows it was serious, she doesn't know to what extent. We've never dove into that very deep because I'm insecure and I don't really tell people about it, not straight away anyway. Anyway, girlfriend wanted to meet my brothers because we're all super tight and I saw that as a good sign. We met up for a barbecue and my sibs loved her at first. I say at first because we were all sitting down laughing and talking and the conversation took a dirty turn. My older brother has a pretty crude sense of humor and my girlfriend agreed with a few things he said that I apparently did a lot, things that weren't possible. And my brother immediately called her out for lying and for trying to humiliate me. He wasn't nasty, he just basically said, "Hey, that's not cool." On the way to drop her off back at her place, I told her why he'd pulled her up and she was crying and screaming about how I should have told her, and I made a fool out of her in front of my brothers and she'd never live it down and she was just trying to fit in. I told her it was fine and they actually liked her, but she said it was an asshole move to try and start a relationship knowing I can't have kids because she really liked me and she really wanted kids and I ruined everything. And that I'm an asshole for not telling her about the bowel and other parts as well because they could cause major health problems in the future. I spoke to my brother and he just says that I shouldn't be with someone who is so comfortable lying to them about something so insignificant anyway because it shows she'd be comfortable lying about more serious things. I just feel bad because she's so upset and I'm thinking I maybe should have told her a little sooner, but at the same time it's hard to get the timing right and I'm not always comfortable telling people. Either way, I'm leaning towards her being right and may owe her a huge apology. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. It's only been a few weeks for something you're uncomfortable about. You were honest when you told her you couldn't have kids. What the fuck is her problem? Not the asshole. I dunno about you, but I have a red flag check that goes off if someone after dating for a matter of weeks says I liked you and wanted to have your children. Also, it's kind of weird that she got so pissed about him making her look stupid when her goal was to embarrass you. Not the asshole. You already told her you couldn't have kids. You didn't need to be so specific early on. Edit because I've actually found an your brother, for humiliating you both and gaslighting girlfriend when he was the one bringing up and making up things. Edit to the edit. Clearly you haven't given all the information we need. Please update your post instead of scattering information in comments. From your post, it sounds like it's only about fertility. But from comments, it's about sexual life in general. Not expanding on why you can't have kids as a thing. Not telling your girlfriend, with whom you'd expect to get intimate, you can't have a sexual life at all is a different story. Info. You knew about your brother's sense of humor. Why didn't you tell them she does not know any of that yet? What did she lie about? Was it maybe something she wanted to protect you from? Not the asshole. You do have to tell, but a few weeks? Also, she got to be really obtuse to not start thinking about it after the adoption talk. Usually when a guy wants children but not biological, you can kind of guess. Not the asshole. So she's okay with lying to embarrass you, but when she's called out for it, it's not okay, because it's embarrassing? Hypocrite. She expects deeply personal information mere weeks into a relationship. But when it was partially offered to her, adopt rather than bio kids remark, she chose to ignore it and pretend it was never said or meant something else. Toxic. You brother is right. You definitely can and should do better than this woman. She is bad news. The topic of children came up a few times. She asked if I wanted any and I told her I'd love to adopt some but wouldn't be able to have any of my own. Why would you assume from this she thought you didn't want them? You clearly told her you wouldn't be able to have any of your own. She chose to brush this off with no further conversation or questions. In my opinion, you literally told her you couldn't have kids, so not the asshole. She's lashing out at you and blaming you because she got called out on not being truthful. Not the asshole. You're not a sperm bank and you do not have to disclose information like this if you don't want to. You said you wanted to adopt. The reason for that isn't any of her business, as it shouldn't matter. She shouldn't have lied to the family either way. Doesn't leave a good impression and she got herself into the situation by doing so. Am I the asshole for telling all my friends they have to move out now that I'm pregnant? 4 years ago my parents passed away in an accident. They left me everything including their 4-bedroom house that was almost completely paid off. At the time I was young and not financially responsible enough to pay off the full mortgage on my own, so I let my then BF, now husband, and our friends and their partners move in. With 8 people paying rent, we paid the rest of the mortgage off pretty quickly since we paid almost double the payment each month. But now I am 27 years old and I'm ready to settle down. My husband and I found out I was pregnant about a month ago, and after talking we decided it was time for everyone to move out so we can start our family. We asked everyone to dinner tonight and made the announcement. At first everyone was so excited for us. They started talking about how much they would help with the baby and how much fun it was going to be to have a kid around. When everyone finally quieted down enough, we told them we'd expect everyone to move out by the end of August. It was silent. It then immediately erupted into a screaming match. Everyone speaking at once and some people claiming they won't be leaving. I told them I gave them more than enough time to look for a place, and one of them blatantly told me to go fuck myself. After an hour of arguing and one by one everyone going to their rooms and slamming their doors loudly in our faces, my husband and I just got in bed. We genuinely don't know what to do and thought we gave them more than enough time and they would be more understanding. Are we the assholes? Edit. Just wanted to add that the mortgage was paid off 5 months ago, but everyone still pays rent. Which is $250 per person. I should have probably said that. And they know the mortgage is paid off. Not the asshole. Congrats on the baby. 6 months is generous notice to tenants. Given that it's already gotten bad, I strongly suggest talking to a lawyer who is expert in landlord-tenant disputes. Tenant rights are a real problem in some states. You probably need to set the move-out date earlier than August to allow time for eviction proceedings if it comes to that. ETA. Wow, thank you for the awards. I've learned the hard way that breaking up house sharing is not always smooth and easy. You gave your tenants 6 months notice. Not the asshole. This is why you shouldn't ever let to your friends though. It almost always ends in tears. Not the asshole. Someone mentioned how they helped you pay off the house but they were paying rent. It's not different than living in an apartment. Not the asshole. Do your friends think you are running a commune? Of course they are going to have to move out someday. And yeah, having a kid seems to be about the right time. And August is plenty of time. Sound like it's time to look up local laws and serve them all formal eviction notices. Do it right, so you won't have issues. Not the asshole. Your friends are gonna try to become squatters. They're basically using and abusing. They basically don't have to pay for shit living there and get to live there practically for free. If your friends were smart, since it is so much of a steal to only pay $250 in rent, they should have been able to save up a lot of money by now, I'm assuming, and be able to afford their own house. Like, what the fuck is their problem? You made it clear it wasn't permanent, but they obviously are acting entitled. They don't own the house, you do. 6 months is plenty of time to find somewhere to live. It's not like you gave them a couple of weeks of notice, you gave them half a year. Not the asshole. Your friends are not your friends. It is literally your house and they've only been paying $250 in rent? I mean, that's definitely why they're upset. They know they won't get a better price anywhere else. But that's no excuse to scream and yell at a pregnant woman and insist they're staying. Fuck August, I'd want them out now. Not the asshole at all. It's your house and you're giving them 7 months to move out, that is beyond generous. Not the asshole, your parents left you the house. Shame on your friends for thinking this was a permanent living arrangement. You are giving them ample time to find new accommodations.